Hello everyone and welcome back to the Ryan Retro channel. You might know my channel for many videos of the Retroid Pocket 5. Well, today we have a new handheld here. The little brother of the Retroid Pocket 5, the Retroid Pocket Mini. This is going to be my first time looking at the Mini, so let's open the box and see what's inside. We seem to have a nice screen cleaning kit and screen protector, and taking it out of the box, here it is in all its glory with that little tiny cute screen, which we will talk a lot about later. So the first initial impressions are it's really cute. Quite a bit smaller than the Retroid Pocket 5. And because of that, it looks kind of chunky. I think it actually is thicker than the Retroid Pocket 5. It definitely looks that way. In the box we get USB cables, manuals, all the usual standard stuff you can imagine you'd get with most handhelds. So I'll now just quickly run through the setup menu, something you can see if you watched my Retroid Pocket 5 setup guide. I'll go through exactly the way I did in that video, and then I'll get back to you in a moment. We are now into the operating system itself. As you can see, everything looks like it's working well. And with this being almost identical internally to the Retroid Pocket 5, I think the only difference being it has 6 gigs of RAM instead of 8 gigabytes of RAM, we should expect all the same performance you can see in my 70 or 80 videos on the Retroid Pocket 5. And I can use my compatibility spreadsheet to get the best performance. So let's now take out the SD card from the Retroid Pocket 5 and put it into the Retroid Pocket Mini. And I'll be testing this over the next week or so to see how is the comfort, how do I feel about the screen size and everything else. I know the internal specs and performance very well, better than almost anyone out there at this point. So my focus will really be in the comfort, the portability, and how I feel about this screen. So I'll now spend a few days playing the Ryan Retro Game of the Week, Super Mario 64, as well as countless other systems and titles, and I'll get back to you in a few days' time. Okay, so it's been a few weeks now that I've been using this device, so I can really give you a true review of my experience. I'm also going to compare it to other Retroid devices like the Retroid Pocket 5, the Retroid Pocket Flip 2, and the Retroid Pocket Classic. I'm going to be using my traffic light system for this review, green being the things I like, yellow being the things I think could be improved a little bit, and red being the things I don't like. And being the positive guy that I am, we're going to kick it off with the green lights, starting with performance. It shares the same Snapdragon 865 processor as these two devices, more powerful than this one, which means the performance is really a known quantity. I can just quickly jump into a game of Hades here using PC emulation, and just like on the Retroid Pocket 5 and Flip 2, we have here a smooth 60 frames per second. The game runs absolutely beautifully. I'm playing it here in 720p in a forced 4:3 format to fit the 4:3 aspect ratio of the screen, and it's lovely and smooth. Here is Castle Crashers on the PlayStation 3. This is obviously a very light title for the PlayStation 3, but PlayStation 3 emulation on a device this tiny is really impressive. Again, it's running perfectly smoothly, except when it compiles shaders for the first time. So we do have here the beginnings of nice PS3 emulation on a device that's smaller than my iPhone. So that is really nice. Secret Console emulation is another one that we know works really nicely on this chipset. I'm running this at 1x handheld resolution, which is 720p, and I've set the emulator to force a 4:3 aspect ratio, so we are nicely filling up the screen we have here. And when we play systems that do support 4:3, it's a really nice experience. Here it feels like the picture is kind of being stretched a little bit. So let's go back to an older system now, like the Nintendo Wii, to see what that looks like. Here you can see some black bars at the top and the bottom of the screen, but because this device is black and it has a beautiful OLED screen, I actually can't even see. It's almost impossible for me to even see those black lines at the top and bottom of the screen. I really have to squint to make them out. So with an OLED device like this, I really do recommend getting black devices. You'll see I've done that pretty much every time because it really does make those bezels blend in with the screen itself. Arteta! Bring it upon yourself, lad. He's going to get on the pitch and take down PSG by himself. The performance is mostly exactly the same as these other devices. It's only slightly slower in certain situations, probably due to the less RAM. This has 6 gigs and the other two have 8. But for the most part, it is basically the same performance, which is incredible for such a small device. And compared to something like the Retroid Pocket 5, it's of course more pocketable as you're saving all of that space. It also feels more comfortable than the Retroid Pocket 5. The grips are a similar size, but because the whole device is much smaller, it feels more chunky in a good way. If you've ever held a Nintendo Switch, you'll probably know that it feels quite big and thin, which is not very comfortable. This, on the other hand, feels small and chunky, but it's not heavy at all. So it's really comfy to hold in the hands, and for me, this is actually much more comfortable than the Retroid Pocket 5. So it definitely gets a green light for ergonomics. But now let's get into the most important, the most controversial, the most divisive, the biggest part of this device, which is this screen. The quality of the screen is excellent. Just like the Retroid Pocket 5 and the Flip 2, they all have incredible screens. They're so sharp, so vivid and bright. They are fantastic. But there has been quite a lot of controversy about this screen. Retroid decided to make this a 4x3 screen, because there was a lot of demand for that by the community. Many people wanted a 4x3 device. But one of the issues with it is the screen to body ratio. If you look at the Retroid Pocket 5, it beautifully fills out the chassis. It's almost edge to edge, which looks wonderful. But the Retroid Pocket Mini has these big bezels on the top and the bottom, which just make it look cheaper and outdated by comparison. It was later found out by users there actually is more screen underneath the shell that's being covered by these bezels in order to make it a 4x3 panel that was requested by a lot of people. But it just makes so much more sense to have a larger screen that can be 4x3 when you need it and can be bigger when you want it too. Like the newly released Retroid Pocket Classic, which has an 8x7 almost completely square screen. So what Retroid are doing now is, for anybody who ordered the Retroid Pocket Mini in the past from the official Retroid website, they're sending a replacement front panel which includes this screen, which almost perfectly fills up the front casing of the Retroid Pocket Mini and looks far better than the original in my opinion. As far as I can tell, it's not yet been confirmed whether there will be a future release of the Retroid Pocket Mini with this screen, or whether there will be a kit coming out in the future you can purchase and replace yourself. For now, it's only original purchasers who bought this before who can get that replacement screen. I have emailed Retroid for a comment on this, but they haven't replied to me, so unfortunately guys, I can't tell you yet. If I do hear any replies from Retroid, I will let you know. So if you'd rather have a bigger, squarer screen like this on the Retroid Pocket Mini, keep an eye out for updates from Retroid, as it's something that may become available in the future. But for now, we have this screen. It is an excellent screen, but it does have an issue, which is it doesn't properly show shaders. For those of you who don't know, shaders are ways you can change the way games look by adding scan lines or dots, things that make them look more like nostalgic old CRT monitors or the original systems that you're emulating. In some cases, they can fix graphical errors in games, they can change the way things look. They're very customizable. There's a lot of things you can do with them, but unfortunately, because this screen is bigger than it appears and hidden by bezels, it just doesn't work properly. So if you're someone who really likes shaders, this is not the device for you. Personally, I don't use shaders at all in any of my devices, so it doesn't affect me. So I'm leaving this as a yellow light. If you're someone who really wants to use shaders, this is going to be a red light for you, and I would avoid this system until it's possibly changed in the future with a bigger screen. But for now, do not buy this current 4x3 Retroid Pocket Mini if you care about shaders. It's not going to work. I don't care about shaders, it's not applicable to me, so for me, that's not an issue, but I do need to tell you in case it's an issue for you. But for me, in my situation, not needing shaders at all, I still just wish the screen was bigger. Whether it's bigger in this format, which I think would look really nice on here, and I've seen great reviews from people who have swapped over to the new screen, I wouldn't mind if it was just still 4x3, but larger. There's a lot of missing space here where you can see this stretching out and filling the chassis in the way the Retroid Pocket 5 does. I just feel that this screen either needs to be bigger or the whole device needs to be a little bit smaller. There just seems to be a lot of wasted space here, which is a shame because this is a great handheld. It's small, it's powerful, the screen's sharp and bright, it has a great battery life, great performance. It's a great handheld. It's just held back by some really weird decisions by the team that put it together. And I do also have one more nitpick, though I'm not going to put it in the red, yellow and green system because it's a really tiny nitpick, but I just wish these screws were black. The screws all around the device are silver, and this is a very premium feeling device, but those silver screws just seem to make it a little bit cheaper to me. The Retroid Pocket 5 also has silver screws, but they're recessed down where you can barely see them, so it's not really an issue, as at most angles they're invisible. That's just a tiny nitpick and something that's not really a big deal. Let's now get into a comparison with a few Retroid devices just to see what that screen is like in practice and if you think it's something that's good for you. So let's jump into a 4x3 game first of all that will fully utilize the 4x3 screen. So here we are inside a PlayStation 1 game, World Cup 98, one of my absolute favorites growing up, and it fits perfectly into this 4x3 screen. The PlayStation 1 obviously was a 4x3 system, so we're making full and complete use of the 4x3 aspect ratio here, and it looks great. If we compare this to the Retroid Pocket 5, the bigger brother up here, the 4x3 screen is now bookended by two black bars. Because of the really nice OLED screen and black colorway here, you can almost not even see where one ends and the other begins, unless I hold it at an extreme angle like this. But once you're facing it head on, it blends in beautifully. When we compare the size of the two screens now, the Retroid Pocket 5 is a little bit larger, but not really in a drastic way. And when you compare how much smaller the Retroid Pocket Mini is, for 4x3 content, it might actually be preferable. And it is also more comfortable. So then we have the new contender, the Retroid Pocket Classic, with that taller 8x7 screen. Here I believe the screen size is actually identical. We do have a little bit of real estate at the top and the bottom, but as we're playing 4x3 content on an 8x7 screen, this time we have letterboxes at the top and the bottom. Very, very small ones. Once again, it's hard to show you because they blend so nicely into this black bezel, but if I hold it at an angle like this, you can see where the green football pitch ends, and there's a little bit of black screen before this black bezel. Once again here, it's a really nice experience, as you might be able to tell by the fact I've already scored 4 goals, and it works really well. But for a lot of games, I do feel myself wishing I had analog sticks. So I would give a win here to the Retroid Pocket Mini, because it has those really nice Hall effect analog sticks, which just feel a lot nicer to play in so many gaming situations. The size of the two devices is also very similar. They're both pretty equally pocketable, but for 4x3 content, I think this is the winner of the three. So how about some slightly newer content that can be 4x3 or 16:9? Here is a Dreamcast game, Virtual Tennis 2, that I really enjoy. Here you can see it looks absolutely lovely on the 4x3 screen, perfectly filling up the screen, and it's an absolute joy to play. But on a 16:9 device, we can stretch this using widescreen hacks to a 16:9 aspect ratio, like this. And here we get obviously much more real estate. Some of the graphics do look a little bit stretched, not like a perfect widescreen game, but the overall gameplay looks really nice in widescreen, and we of course have a much larger screen to look at. So when it comes to a game like this, I do prefer playing it on the larger screen. I think that extra real estate is really nice. But now how about comparing a game that will adapt to any screen you might have? Well, that is the beauty of Android games that really nicely stretch themselves to whatever aspect ratio you might be using. So here is Stardew Valley. This should give you a pretty nice picture of what you can expect. So we have the 4x3 aspect ratio of the Retroid Pocket Mini up here. We have the 16:9 aspect ratio of the Retroid Pocket 5 here. And we have this 8:7 aspect ratio of the Retroid Pocket Classic here. Stardew Valley is a game that runs really flawlessly on almost anything, so you'll get a great experience here. You also don't necessarily need any analog sticks. It works well with the D-pad as well. So this is a game you can really play on anything. Once again, I think it looks great on the 4x3 screen of the Mini, but once again, I just wish this screen was stretched to fit the extents of the chassis. Whether that's vertically, diagonally, I just wish it was a little bit bigger. The Retroid Pocket 5 pretty much can't stretch any more than it already is. It looks incredible, and I'm probably most enjoying it here on the Retroid Pocket Classic. It's a really comfy grip holding this Game Boy style device, and I just think this game really suits the aesthetic. So with a game that can adapt to any resolution like this, you can really just take your pick of what device you like, but it really does just emphasize the bezels here, which is a shame. The greatest benefit of the Retroid Pocket Mini is just the overall balance of power, ergonomics, screen quality, and control features into something that can realistically actually fit in your pocket, unlike many of Retroid's Pocket series these days. But there is a new challenger, which is the Retroid Pocket Flip 2. It's a similar size to the Retroid Pocket Mini, although quite a bit chunkier, yet when you open it up, you have a much larger screen to work with and still the same great controls. So what's the final bottom line on the Retroid Pocket Mini? Well, I'm actually pleasantly surprised with this device. I think it's a really good all-round device for somebody who wants something small, portable, they're going to take on the go, they want great controls with Hall effect joysticks, great performance, and a really nice looking screen. If you mostly play 4:3 aspect ratio games and you don't care about shaders, I can definitely recommend this, but maybe just keep an eye out if they do refresh it with a slightly larger screen. So if you would like to buy one for yourself or learn more about it, check out the Geek website. They have so many handhelds. They have this one, they have others from Retroid, they have handhelds from Miyu, Anbernic, more expensive ones like the One X Player, which looks incredible. They've got keyboards, gamepads, and all kinds of goodies. They also have a UK website, uk.whatgeek.com, where you can get free UK shipping and 30-day no-hassle returns. So make sure you check them out, and they are having a 12% discount sale right now. I'm not sure how long that's going to last, but if you use my code RyanRetro, not only does that help me out, but it's also an unlimited time 12% discount code. So check out my affiliate link in the description. They have tons of great handhelds for you to check out. I hope this video was interesting for you to watch. This is a very divisive handheld, but one that I'm honestly pleasantly surprised with, and as somebody who doesn't use shaders, I think is pretty nice. Thank you as always for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe if you didn't already, because I have so much more content coming with all of these devices and many more. Thank you once again so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you again tomorrow for another video. Bye.